Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 3rd, 2014 Raleigh Board of Selectmen. Remind everybody that this meeting is being audio and video digitally recorded. First on the agenda is to bring the meeting to order, and second is to the Pledge of Allegiance. Stu Dalzell, will you lead us in the pledge, Stu?
Glad to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stu, thank you.
My pleasure.
Next on the agenda, we have a moment of silence for Marion Chase, who passed on. With that moment of silence, I'm going to turn over, relinquish my chairman's comments to Bob, Vice Chairman Mary, and Bob, you have some comments on Marion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Marion Chase. Marion Hank Chase lived in Raleigh for probably 40 years or so. Marion was a school teacher, and she did teach at the Pine Grove School, the 6th grade. The kids just loved her. My daughter had her in the 6th grade, and she just thought Marion was the best thing there was. It really is. And Marion had quite a few accomplishments. She actually wrote a history of the Congregational Church, tied in with the town history, of course, as the church was the town at one point. She and Linda Williams actually handmade the first Raleigh flag when Raleigh voted in 1974 to create a town flag. Both she and Linda actually made the flag. They had a contest to get the design, and they actually handmade the first flag. And one of her accomplishments was that she was a poet. And I do have a poem here that I would like to read that Marion wrote, and it's called X Marks the Spot by Marion Chase. How do you wish to make your mark along the trail of life? Can you say that you will be remembered? What kindly thoughts, tempered with gestures of friendliness? Or will you just be a dab of paint that dims with stormy weather until there is never a trace of where you stood? I mean, that's kind of gets to me, if you will. I don't know how the rest of you feel about it, but it rings a bell.
Yep.
It really does ring a bell. So we were lucky enough to have Marion living in our community, and Hank too, her husband. Very good people. Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Chairman.
Bob. That's, we lose people from our community like that. Their life is kind of like a mosaic.
Yes.
And when you step back and you take a look, there's a lot of things they've added to the community. And it certainly sounds like she made her mark in the community.
She absolutely did.
Yeah. And thank you for that, Bob, tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, moving on. It is now 7:05. Between 7:05 and 7:15, it will be citizens' query. Any questions of the board, we're happy to ask if there's any right now. And the citizen query will be open until, again, for another 10 minutes. At 7:15, we have an appointment with the Water Commissioner, Stu Dalzell, for an update on the water treatment plant. Again, that will start in about 10 minutes. So, let's move on. And first on the agenda, general business, if I can find it. Okay. It is review ZBA special permit application for an in-law apartment. Okay, did everybody look this over? This is just a mere formality of just looking this over. Any comments from the board? There's nothing signed, just a,
No, I think it's a routine application.
Routine
We
application.
distribute it to the Board of Selectmen in case there's any comments, so we,
nothing from the board? No.
It seems like a fairly routine
Routine
zoning
matter.
board.
Okay. Doesn't look like anything out of order.
I did-
Okay.
I did look at the plans this morning, and it seems straightforward.
All right. With that, we'll move on. Move on to old business. Discuss fire station lease. We need to delegate one of 2 selectmen to meet with the Raleigh Volunteer Fire Protection Association to discuss successor lease agreement for the fire station. Also need to look at the equipment lease as well. So with that, I've been doing this for several years, so I will stay as one of the members if nobody has any objection. And is there anyone that would like to volunteer for this, or
Selectman's office.
we can draft?
No, this is Amy.
But I think, we need 2 members from the Board of Selectmen.
She left about 5 minutes ago. Okay, you're welcome, Bobby.
How about Dave?
I would prefer not to, because I was involved in the initial lease agreements, and it was not always amicable. So
I
so I
think-
may be more of a detriment than a help if we're gonna have a successful, not that I won't have some input, but
It's mainly gonna fall to me, okay, but I would like a second, Joe, would you like
Joe.
to do that?
Okay.
Okay. Again, it would fall mostly to myself, but,
Okay.
okay?
I'll back you up.
Mr. Chairman, you have a vote on
Can I
that?
have a motion to make
I'll give you
Joe?
the motion to appoint the chair and Joe Perry to the negotiation.
I have a motion, I have a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I recuse myself.
All right, moving on. Okay. Discuss the old business number 2, discuss Highway Department proclamation in memory of Scott Levitt. Board of Selectmen has voted last week to issue a proclamation in recognition of the dedicated service that the Highway Department employees have provided to the town since the passing of Scott Levitt. As we approach the 1-year anniversary of Scott's passing, we need to set aside time at one of our upcoming meetings to invite the highway employees in for the presentation. Should we do this March 10th at 7:15? Is there any
As long as it doesn't
objections?
snow.
Yes.
Can't
Okay.
believe it's
But
been
you
a
gotta
year.
understand, Bob will be here.
Oh, okay. I
The
understand.
snow will be here.
The snow will be here, that's true.
Yes.
You can lead the charge. Okay.
Scott's been gone for a year.
Yeah, it's hard to
Wow.
believe,
Doesn't
isn't it?
seem possible.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Oh,
Yeah, it's, every time I think of it, it's just hard. Just think of it, he's gone. So, next week, the 10th,
Okay.
that sound good, 7:15?
sounds good.
Okay, we'll do it. Okay, moving on. Old business number 3. Discuss the, and review the FY15 budgets. If you look over, we have,
Mr. Chairman, you may want to hold this one for after your
okay,
appointment.
why don't we come back to this, yeah,
It's an
because this is
extensive
quite.
list. You can just jump right into number 4, that was an easy one, so.
Okay,
Still
we'll go to
working on
number
that.
4. Discuss capital equipment and town meeting articles. Let me get down to get this, I'll put this to the side.
So actually, what we're trying to say is that the capital budgeting team, we're still working on that list, so we don't have anything to report for tonight.
Okay.
We're gonna try to get a draft perhaps for next week.
Yeah, it's going to be developing over the next week.
Yes, we're gonna try to.
Okay. All right, sound good to everybody?
Sounds good.
Okay. Moving on. Number 5, discuss memo from Community Preservation Committee, Board of Selectmen projects. Okay,
He's on.
Debbie has prepared an attached memo. She will read this tonight's meeting. Deb?
Okay.
Okay.
I don't, wanna read it? I don't,
I don't know
That
if the
they-
board wants to read it, or if you want to do it, or
No,
approve
we
it.
just, I think we just highlight the,
it's just a discuss, it's basically.
Well, I need some approval so that we can go and file these applications with the CPC.
okay.
Yeah, basically, CPC's meeting Thursday night.
You'll be,
I've agreed to go. Joe's actually on the committee,
okay.
and we just put together a number of points that we want to bring up within basically the status of various CPC projects. So, you know, rather than read all the information, a quick synopsis might be.
Okay, well, there are some that I do need approval on.
Well, I mean, you want to take a approval at the end, or you want
It's
Or you wanna-
repurposing of the number one.
Okay, Town Hall's, second floor, window project.
So that you can present that to them on Thursday.
Dave, how do you?
Yeah, I mean.
You're gonna present this,
well,
how,
why don't I, if you want, I mean, I'll read it. I'll quickly read this, the ones that need to, we can read them all.
which
Basically,
ones do you need a motion on to?
on this one here, the second hall, second floor window project, the original
Okay.
project was insufficient to complete the entire project, as we know, to replace all the windows. The 6 windows on the ends of the buildings were dropped off, and as a result, there's $9,660 remaining, which is not enough to finish the side windows. We estimate the project to cost $20,000. Recommending that a portion of the CPA appropriation listed as number 3, which is the town hall flooring, which we are not gonna be able to do, be redesignated to the window project, which would include the restoration and replacement windows in the first floor also, regarding how much is sufficient funds to complete the project or not. And this will be renamed the Town Hall Window Project. The working budget would thus be $69,660. So we're basically asking the CPC to redesignate the first floor restoration project, which is item number 3, and put that money into this one, the window project. Finish off the second floor windows and start the replacement of the first floor windows.
So Dave, which ones do you need a,
Well, for this,
We're 1 and 3
probably
on
need to
that
do them
list.
one at a time, so.
okay,
Well, and I think the rest is just an update, but just that one, as Mr. Peterson just described, I would need an authorization to repurpose the $60,000 that was set aside for the town hall first floor floor restoration. We can't complete that project using CPA money, so we would like to add that to the existing town hall second floor windows, rename it the town hall window project, and expand it to include first floor windows. There are a number of first floor windows that need to be replaced as well. So then we would have a total of $69,660
$660.
that we would be able to use. And so Mr. Peterson needs to discuss that application on Thursday evening with the CPC.
So it's joining item number 1 and number 3 for a total of $69,660.
Renaming it.
So you're
The
doing
window.
windows, but not the floor.
No, that will be non-CPA money that we're working on.
So,
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we rename the town hall first floor restoration and reappropriate the money for the town hall window restoration under the first project.
okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on.
Just, Mr. Chairman, in relation to Mr. Perry's question, in other words, what's happening is we've got $60,000 to redo the first floor
Right,
CPA money
right.
in order, and it's to be done in a restoration mode. However, we've discovered that we're probably gonna run in, if we start tearing up floor tiles and trying to get down to the original flooring, we're gonna run into an asbestos problem, which is gonna skyrocket the price beyond belief.
Right.
We can avoid the asbestos problem by covering the asbestos rather than tearing it up, and then putting a new flooring on top. And the offices are all, we see this office here, treasurer's office, the assessor's office, and the town clerk's office are desperately in need of floor repairs. So we're gonna plan on doing that from a separate budget item that'll be in the budget. But because it's not gonna be a restoration, we can't use CPA money.
Right.
So that's why we wanna put it on towards the windows and complete the window project with that, so.
Yep. Thank you.
Dave, thank you for that
You're welcome.
explanation.
So do we need a separate vote, on number one?
That vote
did
covers
Bob-
it.
No, that,
That vote you took, I think, authorizes us to make that application before the CPC.
okay. Moving on to, Dave, we need to go through,
Well, the cupola, if you want to go just quickly down through the cupola project, number 2, has been restored. That was a project done last summer. Debbie tried to, the town administrator tried to solicit bids for the alteration of the Alden Kent clock, town hall clock, which is, if you look up on town hall right now, is a blank space up there. There's really been no takers other than she has one name of an individual, Ross Hochstrasser, who specializes in restoring the wooden clocks, and she's had a difficult time pinning him down. My guess is he's probably busy, and
Well,
You did get the email?
coincidentally, as I added to that memo, he did contact me today
okay,
and
good. So,
stressed that he was very busy. It's a busy profession to be a wooden works clockmaker, but, so he's promised me he would get me a proposal sometime at the end of the week.
and there is 40,000 in that item, in that line item, so that should be more than sufficient to do the
Exactly.
clock, and when the clock's done, I assume we'll go back to the CPC and turn that money in, turn
Certainly.
it back, or whatever. Number 3, the first hall floor restoration, we basically covered
good,
that.
covered that.
The Town Hall Annex project, we've awarded the bid, and that should be starting, that's the exterior, the painting, the re-siding, all that particular project. We're scheduled to start sometime in April, so hopefully that won't take too long. After that, that'll be finished. There's also the bids of, on the number 5, we're getting a request for qualifications for the architectural services for the development of written specs for the elevator for the annex, to include floor plans for the first and second floors. So this is underway. There's a balance in that article of 30,000. Town Common, number 6, Town Common Tree Restoration Project. That's been completed. We'll see in the spring how the trees made it through the winter, because they were guaranteed for a year. And that's pretty well set, hopefully, that all those trees will survive. Town Hall, number 7, the Town Common Lighting Fixture Project. The town meeting in last November, voted to repurpose the balance of the original appropriation for the use of the purchase of installation of lighting fixtures. The light department is pretty much doing a great job of handling that. They're gonna procure the fixtures, and they're gonna do most of the installation themselves to keep the cost down, so that once the weather breaks in the spring, that should be moving along. Brad Street Baseball Field Project. Mary and myself have been involved with the rec committee and with the town administrator and the Meridian Associates, who's been asked to, put together do the following: survey, geotechnical services, stormwater design, permitting, writing construction bid specs, et cetera, for that project. So that's well on its way to beginning, and there's not much can be done over there until, once again, the ground thaws, which at this point might be the middle of May or June, the way it's going. And finally, the Girl Scout camp evaluation project. We're moving ahead on that, and in terms of, we've met with the Girl Scouts. We've got a review of appraisal going on currently, which should hopefully be done in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then our intent is to use CPC money for that project. We're not sure at this point how much. We're waiting the appraisal to come back so we can sit down with the Girl Scouts and discuss possible prices for the property. So that's a synopsis of where we stand, and I will be at the CPC meeting to answer questions and make a presentation to the committee,
Okay,
and hopefully get their support for what we're trying to do here.
thanks, Dave. Any of these need to be voted on, or just?
No, you've took the
Just that
necessary vote.
1 and 3, okay. Good. Dave, thank you very much for that
You're
update. Okay, running a little bit late here. I'll go back to, we have a Water Board of Commissioners, Commissioner Stu Dalzell. Stu, you want to come on down? And Stu is here to give us an update on the water treatment plant construction. And Glenn, you want to come down too?
Mark.
Mark, I'm sorry. Mark Griffin, our, that's okay, no. If you'd been Joe, you'd spoken like a deputy, I never would have heard it, so.
Well,
All right, for that, still gonna turn it over to you.
Well,
Give us an update.
the plant's 90% done. The consent order has been extended, but we do not have a letter confirming it yet. And tomorrow night we have to have a meeting and take a vote on extending the contract until April, sometime in April. I believe they're looking for another $61,000. I'm comfortable about that because we have not been a holdup. When they put a letter in front of us, just for example, the letter was typed out in November, and we handed the letter in December. And they want to vote right then. This particular change order was for $41,000. Well, I'm not just looking at a letter with and vote to spend the public's ratepayers $41,000. I want to read it and hash it over in my mind a couple of days.
Still, how many change orders are we looking at?
The other one for 41,000.
That's an early one? You're talking about the 41,000 for, you're talking about last November?
That's correct.
Okay, and we're mixing here. We have two contracts for the treatment plant. One is for the engineering design firm, Weston and Sampson, and oversight. They're also doing the oversight. And then the actual builder. And the one you're referring to, the 41,000, is for the builder. And it was brought up. I did watch that meeting. I wasn't there, but the feeling of the water board seemed to be that the notices were not coming soon enough. They were due without advance notice. And I remember Roy Ricker making a complaint about that specifically, even on the December 17th meeting. As a result of the treatment plant's schedule being moved, the oversight costs have also gone, because it turns out that was not a firm fixed price contract. That was a time and material contract. So whereas at the front end they had less to do, but they still had to be there. They still have things to do at the end of the project. So to pay their office and on-site charges, because it's time and material, they put out a schedule to bring us. They went week by week. Some weeks cost more than others. And I was talking with them, and they did bring it down a little bit. But to go to the treatment plants going online in mid-April, they would need about another $62,000 cost. So this is, before, up to now, we've been dealing with the change orders from the contract builder. Now, this is the first time that I'm aware of, there's been a change order that reflects that for the design builder and oversight engineer.
Has DEP given the extension?
They have by email and by phone, but we're waiting to see a letter.
Okay.
And I think the person at DEP who was issuing that is on vacation, is the problem. We did check into it, and in fact, I think there was a response from something in the newspaper saying the letter hadn't come yet. And someone from DEP said, "Didn't you receive the letter yet?" So they're believing it's already here, but it's not.
It's not, okay. Can we, check up on that and see what the status is of that? I don't want anything to, drag this out any longer, or fingers being pointed at us or at them, just to settle it.
Mr. Chairman, I was wondering if I may direct this question through you. Could we look at the role that Mr. Hargraves is playing in representing the town, more or less as our clerk of the works, a real, true clerk of the works, and see if we could have him actually fulfill that role and reduce Mr. Sikora's role in this, since he is an employee of Weston and Sampson. And while he's in name, I guess, a clerk of the works, we haven't found that to be actually the case. That's why we had to bring in Mr. Hargraves. Would that be something that the water board could review or contemplate and see if there's any way to make some adjustments with the Weston and Sampson in regard to that piece of this?
One of the details, the reason why the estimate only goes to mid-April is because from that point on, the hours would be reduced by 50 to 60%, because what is being extended is not the full project. And we have made inquiries to DEP, and we believe we would be able to, from that point on, take over for Weston and Sampson and do it in-house, either with Mr. Hargraves or the water department proper. But yes, that's why their estimate only goes until the plant startup, and then the rest is up for details.
Mark, this $41,000 in this particular change order, is this something that we've talked about in the past, or is this something new?
The 41,000, I believe, we already know about. Which one do you?
That's right, but now they want 61,000, is it? To
Yeah, I think
extend the
we-
contract.
Two
I
separate
think we're
ones.
dealing with two. The
Yeah.
41,000 is the contractor
Correct.
building it. The 61,000 is Weston and Sampson.
It's Weston and
It's
They're
Sampson.
two different things.
So, is this new, this 60?
This
No,
is,
61 is new.
it came about as a result of the contract being extended.
The contract
For
being
the
extended.
the building contractor's contract being extended. The oversight, and this has nothing to do with design, it's just that a designer is doing the oversight as well. So the oversight costs are time and material, not firm fixed price. So just by going by the calendar, they reduced it as much as they could, but this is what the contract says.
I heard about it last Thursday.
Excuse me?
I heard about the 61,000 last Thursday.
Last Thursday,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
so this only, from this documentation that from Barbara Cook, it confirms the 61,000 is through April 18th. So that's assuming that Weston and Sampson does no further work. So if for any reason they're not totally done at that point, I'm assuming they're gonna be looking for more costs. Is that correct?
Correct. And assuming they do finish, it'll be anywhere from, the estimate is $3,100 to $4,400 a week. So it's a little cheaper than what's there, but still expensive.
Hmm.
And if you have that, if you look at 9 and 10, paragraphs 9 and 10,
Uh-huh.
it'll be a reduction. And also it says that we might be able to have others. We could have others doing that. But This assumes the plant will be done on time, which Stu was just saying, it's 90% done, and it is pretty close to startup. So it could work the other way too. If they're done sooner, this could end sooner.
Well, it seems to me, on the surface anyway, a little unreasonable that they're gonna be done and out the door on April 18th. So I think we can assume that we're gonna be somewhere between 75 and probably closer to $100,000 total for the increase in. I mean, if there's issues, Weston and Sampson has got to. I mean, Mr. Hargraves can kind of oversee the construction, but I'm assuming that there's got to be some coordination between the design of the plant and the construction and the acceptance, and so that part of it wasn't in the contract other than time and material. So this looks like a situation that we're going to be. It's basically, I'm guessing we're looking at close to $100,000. If it's less than that, it's all to our good. But I don't think we can anticipate a figure dramatically lower than that, can we?
It might be 80,000, 90,000. It could
Yeah.
go to 100,000. They are willing to continue. We asked them if we could do it in-house because it will be a reduced load, and they believe DEP would approve that. Recall also that the bulk of the plant, the treatment plant itself will be operational at that time. The well project will be done. I don't know the exact percentage, but I would say at least 75% of the entire project will be done. So there will be much less to oversee. So the job should be easier, assuming that mid-April is going to happen.
Is there sufficient funding in the bond issue? Where do we stand on the economics of the cost of the project and so on? Are we able to absorb this within the money that's been allocated for this project?
I personally haven't confirmed this yet, but Ms. Cook from Weston and Sampson said that it's there, and it's within the 5% that SRF allows.
There's a construction meeting
Wednesday
Wednesday.
morning.
The 61,000 is we're talking about. Is this broken out under number 5 here on the item?
Oops. Yes.
Okay.
The table.
We're looking at the weekly costs, and just running across on the first one, it's from $224 to $228, $1,400 office cost, field $5,000, $11, and then a subtotal of $64.11, and that's for a number of that's 1
That's
week.
for 1 week.
One
Right.
week, which gives us a total of $64.11. Now, going down into March, 3/3 to 3/28, $3,600 office, and that's per week, correct?
Correct.
And then field is $5,011 for a subtotal of $86.11. Again, that $86.11 is for 1 week, correct?
Correct.
So for 4 weeks, we're talking $34,000. What's entailed in that between the office work and the field work?
Between the office and field, the on-site persons, there have been 2. One was a WBE, and the other, who the WBE will be leaving shortly. And
WBE is?
I'm sorry,
That's-
Women in Business Enterprise,
Okay.
owned enterprise. WMB, Women and Minorities Business.
It's required, if you receive state funding, a percentage has to go to a woman and minority business enterprise, so they were awarded that as a subcontractor.
And much of these costs are also required under the SRF. We have to pay prevailing wages, which they're told what we have to pay. They spend time on site, and when they go to the office and do some of the work that, as a follow-up, it's actually cheaper per hour. So they break out the rates. What they do in the office to support their being in the field is actually a slightly cheaper rate. Also, as you get to the cost per week tends to rise as you get to the end, because we're finishing up and putting it all together. That's when the week-long training will happen, and we're starting to make conclusions.
And that's from 331 to 418, and that's when the office cost will be $4,800. Field cost $56.35 for a subtotal of $10,435, and that's for 2 weeks, which gives us a total of $20,870. So that's all the costs. That brings it all up to a grand total of $61,725.
And the following weeks after that, it dropped because everything is started up. And we will be running it at that point, actually. For what's left, it will drop to, they say, 3,100 to 4,400, that range per week. So it's less than half of the last phase there, about half of the second phase, and about 2/3 of the first. So it drops off dramatically, and we might actually, at which point we want to start saving money, I'm not sure. But if we're already paid the bulk of it, and they can walk the last 10 yards, so to speak, then we can make that call. But we did request, could we do it on our own afterwards, and probably, but they are willing to continue.
I'm not happy about it, but we have to vote to extend the contract tomorrow night with the extra money there to get the job done.
Any questions from the board? Comments?
No, I think Stu was right. We need to, we've gone this far, we can't stop now.
No.
We can see the maybe not so dim light at the end of the tunnel, but hopefully there is one there.
Just one of those things, when you do time and materials on a huge project like this, I mean, I'm not sure how common that is to do that.
It's common, but someone could have chosen to go firm fixed price. I'm not sure the contractor would have accepted it, but it's always worth a try. Also, we have the prevailing wage dictated by the SRF,
Yeah, right.
so sometimes we really don't have a choice.
Yeah, we don't. We have to deal with that all the time too, so we're certainly aware of that. Yeah, I don't think we have much choice. It's like Stu says, we're at the end of the project, and it needs to be running and up and going, and hopefully, if all goes well, we can just reduce the amount of time we need these people at the tail end. But I mean, I think we need to be prepared to look at probably 90,000 anyway total before. That's if everything goes right. If anything goes wrong, or doesn't quite operate as such, we may be in deeper than that. But we can't tell till we get there. So.
But everything else seems, Mark, to be moving forward.
I believe so. I think the estimates that we've been given for completion dates are actually a little conservative. I think they might be done a little sooner.
Okay.
But there's a saying in construction, the last 5% will kill you. So, I think we'll know better when we just try to put it all together and start it up.
Okay.
All the components are being pre-tested and pre-run, but when you put it all together, sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. It still has to be inspected by Mass DEP as well before we can go online. So I'm not sure what their schedule is either.
Do you have any particular concerns?
Always my number one concern is making sure we don't get distracted and ruin today's water.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Stu?
No, I can't think of anything right now.
Okay.
I'm just concerned that the April 18th is not a good date.
Well,
I don't know. I don't think it you know,
Oh, just,
we're hearing.
you don't feel comfortable with the
No.
date coming? Okay.
We do have a construction update meeting on Wednesday. We'll know better then.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll have some good news.
All right, Stu. Mark, anything else? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from the board? Comments? Okay. Stu, thank you for the update tonight. Mark, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Stu.
Still good to see you.
Thank you, Mark.
Mark, thank you. Thanks again, Stu. Okay, we finished up the community preservation number 5, right? Going into old business number 6. We'll go back in a second, number 3. But old business number 6, sign Campbell Construction contract. Okay. Okay, any questions from the board on the Campbell contract? I think everything looks in order. Okay, any questions on the contract? Need a pen?
Start work date of April 1st.
Yes.
So we put in the bid documents,
Everything here?
weather permitting.
Okay. So, any questions from the board, comments? Have a motion from the board?
I'll make that
I
motion.
have a motion. I have a second? Second. To sign the contract? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bob?
I just state, Mr. Chairman, that
Yes.
to commend the work of the town administrator and her staff, Amy in particular, for the work and effort that's been put into this. It's a lot of time and a lot of work to put these bid specs together and get everything tied up, and they've done a commendable job while doing many other projects at the same time, so I'd just like to congratulate them on a job well done.
Dave, you're absolutely right. We have a wonderful staff in the office, and we want to thank our staff because they work very hard, very diligent, and there's much that goes on in this office, and Dave is correct, that's unseen. And again, Debbie, Amy, and Doreen, and Elaine, and what you do in the office, again, you're the heroes of the office. You truly are. You're in, we as selectmen, we get to see what goes on all the time, and this is a very busy office. You do a great job.
Thank you.
In simple terms, it's very amazing what they get accomplished.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. This is a very busy place during the day.
Very busy.
And you do a great job in here. And you keep us in line too.
Well, thank you. And we, appreciate the expertise the selectmen bring to the table on some of these projects, because it's certainly not my expertise.
Well, let's go back to number 3. And we'll go into, yes, it's old business, discuss the in review FY15 budgets. And we'll start from the beginning. Town moderator, okay, number 1,
No change.
no change. Okay. Number 2, assessors budget. It's an increase.
This is in wages.
Increase in wages.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's for a total, what, it's 1.8%?
So if,
No.
this one falls within the guidelines.
This falls within the guidelines, okay. Okay, treasurer collector. Okay. Is it, about 5.2%? Or falls within the guidelines?
Wages, basically.
Wages, okay.
Why is there a decrease?
Because of the change in the
Oh, that was
administrative
the-
assistant.
Oh,
And the
okay.
step may have dropped
Okay, thank you.
as a new hire.
Okay, moving on to number 4, town council.
Miraculously, that one is a little funded.
That's level funded. I know.
I don't know why, but it is.
It's up to you to change it, but I mean,
Well, as long as we can get by with it, we'll be
We've
okay then.
gone many years, but when things spike, cases languish in the dockets for many years, and then they come up, that's where you see.
Concern is probably getting through this year's
Correct.
budget, right?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
they're running a deficit, so.
Exactly.
And if there's been an abundance of union negotiations, we settled 2 union contracts, as you know, and we're still negotiating a third. So I'm optimistic in that area, at least, in terms of specialized labor council. There shouldn't be that much, hopefully, if we can settle that.
Thank you for, Deb. Moving on to personnel board, number 5, level funded. Okay, moving on to conservation commission, 6.
Mr. Chairman, on the expense line here, as you notice, the Conservation Commission, which is a full-time department, 40 hours a week, that, maybe about 15 years ago, really just dealt with the Wetlands Protection Act enforcement, in which case there were applications that were filed and they went into the NOI filing fee account, so there was that supplemental. I would say now the conservation agent's role has expanded by virtue of a number of, federal and state unfunded mandates, especially I think of the stormwater. So it's really in our environmental affairs office for the town, and so I think it's hard to imagine that a budget for a full-time department could be set at $1,622 when just the telephone alone,
Yes.
is probably almost $1,000. So, I think that it would be reasonable to bring that up to about, they're asking for $20,050. $2,050 increase. So the increase is $428.
That's not exorbitant.
No, not at all.
No,
But
because
everything
we're
that-
asking him now to, the permit for the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System for that phase, the next phase will be released. It's imminent. I know it. I was speaking to EPA officials in Boston back in January at the MMA meeting. So I think there's going to be a lot of work that's going to be required, and we're having the conservation agent administer that. A lot will be done by highway, but he pulls it together on behalf of the town and files the reports with the EPA. So I just want to let you know, I think it's certainly justified, $2,050.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I don't think,
I don't know what else to say, but that's,
he's probably pulling a rabbit out of a hat to keep it at
oh, he does.
$2,050.
He does. He doesn't, he certainly is very frugal.
Yes. Prefer lucky to have Brent in that
Yes.
position.
Seeing him in operation, it wouldn't surprise me if he's
Yeah,
digging into his own pocket now.
I know,
Incidental expenses. that
He does.
He doesn't even bill us for, so I mean, I think maybe for next year's
Because
budget, we need to
There's training,
look at that whole department.
there's a number of meetings that he goes to. I used to go to several years ago, and I can't. And this is his expertise. I mean, training and meetings on this, just on the stormwater alone.
And that's coming.
And, you know, I've paid for some of those registration fees out of the selectmen's expense budget because there's no money in
I think if you look at the third page, you can see there's a breakdown of what he's asking for to get to that $428. $428, I'm sorry. Really, it's, you know, quite a few items that he's actually cut the cost of.
Yes. And, you know, coming down the pike is the stormwater management. And, you know, there's an unfunded mandate.
That's a huge nut to crack.
Huge.
It really is.
This is coming, you know, like a roaring lion
Yeah,
at us.
it's
And
serious.
It's really scary. You know, as more I learn about this, the more concern I have for the town.
You know,
Trying
so
to-
he's been working on that. He's been working on the national flood insurance, the maps on that, and the floodplain things. Once again, these are not under the Wetlands Protection Act, so you can't have any of those expenses, go to an NOI
Account, yeah.
filing fee account.
So I'd see this as justified,
Easily.
yes.
You know, open space management, making, the trails that he puts, works on, and things like that on a number of the open space pieces under the Conservation Commission that he, maintains for the town. These are other things that this position is responsible for.
I don't know how many times a year I go to Brent for advice, asking for information. He's always a wealth of knowledge. We're so lucky to have him.
Well, one of the big items here is, look at mileage, site visits, workshops. Only requesting $50
Yeah,
in a month. He uses his own car
Yeah, I know.
to go
Yes.
visit.
yep.
And for the mileage rate, look at it.
No, he gives a lot of himself. He
Yeah,
sure
that's what I'm
does.
saying.
Put
Yeah, he's not
no doubt about that.
even looking at, giving a big look at that. You know,
No, he goes above and beyond.
Absolutely.
So that's a budget that we'll need the Board of Selectmen to actually vote to support.
I'll give you that motion.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to zoning board of appeals. This is
That's the level funded.
Level funded
salary
also.
increases.
Now,
Yes, I did the wage calculation in accordance with the ASME contract.
oh,
The
okay.
MOA for the ASME provided for the increase. So that's,
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
that's 2.6. I said, okay. Okay, moving on to agricultural commission.
That's level funded.
Level funded. Okay. Moving on to inspection department.
so this one will require review by the board.
Where are we? 5, 15. Increase of 30, or 3,500, 36.
Yeah, this one here, Mr. Chairman, talking to the building inspector and
Yeah.
over the past few months is basically what he says, and I haven't been here, but you, town administrator can probably confirm, is at the end of the year, he needs transfers to various expense budgets every year. So he's been traditionally underfunded in these areas. Once again, with the amount of building going on in town, and the amount of permits going out, and the work being done by the inspectors, and like he says, just cell phones alone, mileage, code books, all these kinds of office supplies, things, they're just going through them, and, either we give him the money up front for his budget,
Or we do
or at the end of the
transfers.
year, we run around and try to fill the
Right.
holes that have been developed, so.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those departments that is fully justified in what they're requesting for increased expenses. The salaries are within the guidelines, so.
What's he got on the 8% increase of,
Oh, different from the mileage on. Does he have a percent?
no, I don't see the percentage. But there it is.
Yeah, it looks like he didn't put the percentages down.
Okay. So he's requesting 4,000, no,
Looks like
3,400?
A little under.
A little under 3,300, something like that.
Yeah, he's requesting about 1,800 for increased expenses from 5,065 to 6,880, so. The salaries, I'm assuming, are within the
Yes,
guidelines.
they seem to be, yep.
I'll give you a motion to,
I have a motion.
okay, the budget is submitted.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to REMA. Looks like it's level funded. Okay. Move on to Shellfish Commissioners. We have a slight increase.
I believe that's wages.
That's wages. Okay.
$17.
Yeah, it's within the guidelines.
Yeah, we're, okay, this is in the guidelines. Move on to Shellfish Constable. That's level funded. Okay. Move on to Cemetery.
The cemetery has been taken
Oh,
out, Mr. Chairman.
Cemetery,
Still waiting
It's
for it.
Still
been
waiting?
taken out, did you not,
Yeah, it's crossed off my
Okay.
line, Bob, so.
okay.
I'm sorry, it's not crossed out on yours.
Yeah, it's got a light line through it.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, moving to Library. With the last page. Form 1. It's within the guide, 2.5.
So they have some, apparently some fixed cost increases related to the Merrimack Valley Library Consortium. And the, the maintenance involved with the new workstation, so the town appropriated funds a couple of years ago for the self-check. So that procurement apparently went through, and because once you buy something, you have to realize you have to maintain it, so there's a maintenance contract that accompanies that, that needs to be included for in their expense budget.
Okay, so they're within the guidelines.
And 2.66 expense increase for the expenses seems to be reasonable. It
Yes.
doesn't seem to be out of line for what she's justified on
It's-
the
yeah.
cover sheet, so. And the other interesting thing we always get hit with is if we increase their budget, they're required to put in 16%
For the MAR.
For the mark.
top material.
Yeah, it was,
So that
in-
just comes with the territory.
it was interesting that the, because they increased the number of hours they were open, it decreased that spending percentage,
Oh, okay.
On the-
so that,
Yeah, that's
that
true.
was favorable
Yeah.
for us.
Well, it's less than $2,500 that it's going up, so, I mean, you know, you can't escape the maintenance contract because it's an investment of this new equipment.
I'll
And the
give you a motion.
consortium, if the consortium goes up, that's an assessment like MVPC or some other
Right.
organization that we're compelled to pay what's decided in an assessment.
I'll give you the motion to,
I'll second it.
I have a motion of a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, moving on to Veterans Affairs. Okay,
Abstain.
we have an increase of 31%.
So, let's see here. Well, that's an overall, Mr. Chairman,
That's
for this
overall.
department, but there should be no assessment increase at all.
Okay.
As you can see, we've continued expanding the benefits budget because the number of veterans in the town is growing and the eligibility of the veterans. So we have veterans that span from, I think, some from World War II up until, you know, the current war in Afghanistan. So, I mean, there's Korean, Vietnam, Korean, Gulf War.
Gulf
And-
War,
and-
Gulf
and
War
so,
One,
You know, due to
Gulf
the
Two.
economic times that we're in, many of them
Yeah,
are facing hardship. And the town is required, if they are a resident of the town, we have to pay the benefits, if, you know, as they're approved by the Veterans Director. And the town will get 75% of what we pay back the following year from the state, goes in the general fund. So you do have to keep that in mind. We are drawing down on that account. You sign the bill payable warrant, you know there's a very high utilization
Yes.
of benefits in the town.
well, they've done so much for us.
It's a well-needed article.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm guessing, I have no idea, it all depends if somebody moves in or moves out.
Yeah.
It can change, but I think I just need to increase that.
I'll give you a motion once again to approve this budget as submitted.
Second.
A motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to Memorial Day Veterans, that's level funded.
Right.
Okay.
I'll leave that up to the board. I know we were talking about maybe purchasing some more flags and things like that. And, you know, the flags can be, depending on the quality and the nature of how they're
Is it
you know,
just,
raised and
just the
during,
flag on the common also?
well,
No.
we're trying to pay for a number of things out of that. Flags is predominantly what we're trying to use it for.
I think it covers
I just level
the
funded
cemetery little
Cemetery,
flags they buy,
okay.
some of
help
those. and-
support that.
That would be
Every
the
year.
fact that, I think it's the federal government, has passed legislation that all veterans' flags will be made in America.
Okay.
Will that have any impact on the total funding?
I don't know, we would have to do price comparisons. I didn't do that.
Yeah,
I just
know
level funded the budget and,
We might wanna
hoping that
think
we'll
about
be able to
maybe
make
adding a
it.
little bit more to that
Okay.
for that reason. I know that it's been a huge issue, and to be perfectly honest with you, I gotta kind of agree. We're putting flags, American flags, on veterans' graves that are made in China, and that just doesn't sit very well.
No,
With me at least.
no.
So, and there was a news article about a week ago that I happened to see. And they actually interviewed the company out in Ohio that makes all American flags.
I guess,
Expecting to have an increase in sales, of course.
I could say the company, I can't think of the name.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Does this also the flag on the common that we raise, the,
I don't think that particular
doesn't come out
flag,
of
the
this.
expense comes out of this particular account.
Okay.
It probably comes out of Selectmen. Does it come out of this
Oh,
account?
yeah.
that comes out, that flag?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, I was.
We've had some donations over the years and
Yeah,
things like that, but,
We've had discussions about that flag
yes,
on the pole.
Yes.
On the common.
yes.
And what type of flag we need to fly from. Because there's several different materials that are used on a storm flag, which would be the flag that's flown in the wintertime,
Yep.
and the flag that's flown in the summertime. And it all has to do with nylon, cotton, and how it's put together, and the wind it will take, and also the weight of there's a lot to this, the weight of the flag and the wind.
Mhm.
I'm serious when I say
Oh,
this
yeah,
is.
no,
and
it's absolutely true.
The flag is made of a certain material, made for a certain day to flutter in the wind. Certain flags of a certain weight, it sounds very mundane, but it's necessary because a flag will not flutter in the wind under, certain
Less
conditions.
windy conditions.
Less windy
A number of
conditions.
years ago, we did buy a heavy duty, remember that one we bought? A so-called heavy weather flag? And it didn't last any longer than
Yeah. And
than the other one, so it's,
And there's
they take a beating out there.
They take a beating, and also there's several different flags you fly. You have a holiday flag, which is, again, only flown on the holidays. There's a storm flag, which is usually in the wintertime and in severe weather, which is a smaller flag. And then there's the national ensign, which is flown
You have
daily.
double this budget if you,
Well, but
we've always flown, I think, one flag all year round.
and I did some investigation. And I'm not sure if we can, in the military, it's 3 different types of flags
Right.
you would fly. I don't know if in a town we can go just to two types of flags. One a storm flag and one basically
I think we traditionally just put up one flag and we
It's only been
run
one
it
flag.
until it
Until
deteriorates
it's
to the
tattered.
point where we replace it.
It looks like it was over.
We try to get a year out of it, but we don't always.
Looks like the Star Spangled Banner by the time we get through with it. It's all tattered and shot.
We actually have a seamstress on call to repair them,
Oh,
too.
do we really?
Yes, we do.
Who might that be?
Mr. Chairman,
My wife.
Bob's got a good point. My question too is, when you have a veteran pass away
Mhm.
and they come over to the ceremony and they fold the flag,
Right.
would you think, Bob, that that's American-made, or would that be made in China?
It could very well be made in China today, Jack, but from now on, it's gonna be made in America. The
I
legislation
do have
was
a
passed.
catalog over there. Just got it
Yeah,
at the
the
cemetery
legislation was
by
passed
Carrot.
by the
They're
federal
out of
government.
North Carolina. I am gonna look at it tomorrow to
That-
see where the flags are made.
The flag that is presented
You know.
to the family.
It's not a flag that flies on a pole, basically.
No, that's
No,
usually
No,
just
it's
we
a
have,
casket flag.
I've
It's a
got
casket flag,
donations
yeah.
bought. People, families have
yeah.
gave them and we've
Yeah.
flown the
Oh,
flag.
you can fly them, yeah.
Doesn't that
Yeah.
come from the national the government?
Yes.
Veterans Affairs.
Yes.
That flag especially comes from them.
If we had 600, if we make this 1,800,
Which one are we talking about, Dave?
you're talking about sort of 1,200,
Okay.
make it 1,800 is would that, I mean, we're guessing.
Mm.
That would allow the budget to move forward and provide enough funding. If obviously
Yeah, I would
there's anything
say-
left over, we're not gonna spend it if we don't have to.
Let's increase that at
I'll give you the motion
$600.
to increase that to $1,800.
I'll second that.
Have a second. I have a motion second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
So we're up to 18?
Now, this.
Up to 1,800
This
on that.
1,800, Dave, that we're speaking about right now, that's gonna help the VFW and they usually bring the small flags over. But
Well,
the
I'm
thing
assuming
is,
Well, it's, they plant some flowers in the Star Garden,
Yeah.
and then,
That's
they-
all
we
part
get-
of this,
We get a
right?
that
bill
would be
from,
part of this, Debbie, though, right?
the head of the VFW gives us a bill.
We get reimbursed.
Shortly after Memorial Day, he brings it over. So we haven't, this is.
But that's out of this appropriation.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then we buy the flag for the common.
Don't we get some money back from the veterans agent too? Ultimately, I think I've been in the office in the past when he came in. with
Only
a
for the
check.
Veterans Affairs.
Well, it goes into the general fund from the State Veterans
Okay.
Division of,
Forget it, that don't work.
Um,
Don't get it mixed
Yeah,
up.
but I think now, Bob, you want these flags to be American-made.
Well, it's not necessarily that I want them to be done.
Well, I
but
think
the
it's a
federal
good
government
idea.
says that if they're gonna be used for the veterans, they need to be American-made. They're mandating it.
Ebinger.
Oh,
Is what
okay.
they're
so-
saying. The
yeah.
federal government's saying they
Cemetery,
will
yeah.
be American-made flags.
And the intent of the appropriation is to do that.
Right.
I would say, right, by.
So that would
by
bring
us.
the price
Yeah.
up, Bobby, too.
Right, yeah,
and
exactly,
go
so
over
that's,
to China
hopefully this
and
will
all
cover it.
Yeah.
Well, it's-
Yeah.
We spent
Yeah.
in fiscal 11, for example, almost $800 on the cemetery flags, and there was about money for the Star Garden, about $50 for the flowers, geraniums and things at the garden club.
Garden club,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lance. And then we had another flag that we purchased, an 8x12, for about $170 for the town common. So that's fiscal 11, just an example of the kinds of things we use in this line. So if there's flags to be purchased, we expect the cost to increase.
Yeah, so up to 1,800, I think will,
18.
So hopefully that'll cover it.
hopefully will cover it.
Yeah, we'll have a better handle on it next year.
Sound good? Okay. Handicap. level funded. Handicap expenses, at 90. Okay, Brad Street property expenses. That's level funded also?
Yeah, that will cover, the selectmen, do need some money to cover, you know, if we have to cut the grass or, do anything on the road. But this is the affordable housing parcel.
Okay, and last, the debt.
So this is what Treasurer Karen Summit put together. However, if we do any borrowing at the special town meeting, in which a payment will be made in fiscal 15, we'll have to add that to this. And we're still working on the capital things, so.
Basically, it went down 21% overall for
Yeah, a few
Funded
things
this
have been
year.
paid off.
all of, yeah.
And the refinancing certainly helped at the lower interest rates that she pursued.
What is our percentage of our debt? I know this is a,
Well, if you look at the total budget of the town, you'd have to take that and then divide it by,
divided, okay.
we're requesting so far 362, but that, like I said, this could change.
Right. So we have I know I talked to Karen about this, low percentage of debt that we carry compared to other towns around
It's
us.
very, very low, yeah.
Very low.
Yeah, it is. And then it's always good at the bonding agency.
Hmm?
It's always good at the bonding agency.
Oh, absolutely, in case of emergency, we need something. Gives us a good interest rate.
Do
Okay,
we need a motion for that one, Debbie, where it changes, or you just, that's okay the way it is?
that's,
Well, it's these are fixed costs, so we'll present that to the finance committee, or wait until you make a decision if there's gonna be anything borrowed at the special. I think I'd
Okay.
rather just wait till that's done.
I think that's it for the budget. Any other questions, comments? So it takes care of old business. We'll move on to new business. Appoint Conservation Commission as interim open space committee and request conservation agent to complete the update to the town's open space plan. We need to complete the update for the town's open space plan. If we don't get this done, the town will not be eligible for certain state grants. Conservation Commission is amiable is serving as the interim open space committee for the purpose of completing the update to this plan. Additionally, the conservation agent Brent Baslak has agreed to oversee the completion of the plan. Okay. See the attached memo. We need to vote on this to,
Yes, we do.
Mr. Chairman, this is regarding, once again, Mr. Murray and I have been meeting with, on the Girl Scout property. This is an essential task that must be completed if we're gonna be eligible for any state grants, not only for the Girl Scout camp, but other things coming up, so this needs to be updated. And
okay.
the Conservation Commission graciously agreed to act as the interim committee to complete this task in a timely manner so that we'll be prepared to submit a request for a grant if we decide to move ahead with the Girl Scout property.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, moving on to discuss FY15 budget hearing and district
Oh, so
communications committee.
I'm sorry,
Oh.
Mr. Chairman, on the attached memo, as part of Brent's working on the open space plan, he needs to contact Merrimack Valley Planning Commission and to see if they could
How much money we got to spend?
do some of the work they apparently they already have this, if you see that on his memo.
Okay. Does he need a?
Well, you're the town's rep,
Yes.
and I'm not sure, I presume we may have some hours left for MVPC?
I don't think we've used, I think we've only used a fraction of what we're allotted every year. If I can't remember the last time, I think it was in the spring that a request came to me that that I put into Merrimack Valley.
So if we could just, just have, we need MVPC's assistance when, to do some of the editing of the revised maps that Brent is working on. So if we could have some approval by the board that he can contact MVPC, pending.
I'll make that
Have a motion.
We're gonna have to use them no matter what, whether there's hours
I
or
have a
not,
motion.
is I
I'll
guess
make
what
that
I'm
a
trying to
motion.
say.
No, I have a motion over here.
Okay,
Second.
second.
A second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so Brent,
Yeah, whatever
Brent
it
can,
takes.
and whatever Brent needs. then-
Well, they did this for us, so he needs to
Okay.
go back and he needs the permission of the selectmen.
We all set? We move on to discuss Triton FY15 budget hearing and district communications committee meeting. The town's assessment under the tentative Triton budget increases by 6.27% to $498,162. The town cannot handle this type of an increase without a Proposition 2.5 override. The town can handle no more than $300,000. Does the Board of Selectmen wish to vote to submit a letter to the school committee? First, the school committee is holding a public hearing on the budget Wednesday evening. Who will be attending? Joe? You will be?
Definitely.
Okay. Dave, you have something else going on.
I plan on being there also.
You plan to be there?
Yeah, but
Okay. If not, I was gonna go up to the meeting.
My intent is that's a public forum meeting,
It is.
and I plan on speaking my 3 minutes worth
Okay.
regarding this. And my point is specifically is that I filled in for Joe at that 4-hour SETI
Right.
meeting back, I'm gonna say a month ago,
Right.
and our increase at that time was preliminarily for a $400,000 increase to Rowley for the Triton budget, which was intimated that it would probably go down. That would be the top, and it may well come down, depending on what cuts the school committee might make to the superintendent's budget. Then Joe went to a later meeting, and he came back with, our assessment went from approximately 400,000 to 440,000.
Correct.
And then the latest information we got is it went from 440 to just under $500,000. And we all know that between our 2.5 increase they were allowed to increase the taxes, as well as our new growth. We're figuring we've got about $600,000 to be divvied up, half of which we give to the school, which is $300,000. So if we have to fund a $500,000 school budget, we're left with $100,000 to fund all the other increases for the town's budgets. And as we've gone through the budget so far tonight, our salaries are up 2.25% more or less, and basically we've level funded expenses other than certain key areas, and so far anyway, that the expenses have been, in the 2% range that have gone up. So I mean, we're being very diligent in keeping our costs down, and it's just the school situation here is such that they're killing us. And it's without an override, and I'm not sure an override would pass. And if an override doesn't pass, that means we need to come back and cut our budget even more to account for the unfunded mandate that we would have if the override doesn't pass. So it's critical that between Joe and myself that we make the school committee aware of it. What they do with it and how they handle it is a different matter. But we want to do all we can for the kids, but at the same time, we only have a certain ability to pay the bills, and whatever budgets we all do, it's got to be within the money that the taxpayers give us. And at this point, The whole budget process here this year, I think, has been, on the school department's part, has been kind of secretive, and we're given these documents without a lot of input. And, you know, Joe's complained, and so has in the finance committee, about the lack of a communications meeting where
Yeah,
these
but
things
Right,
have been
we
kicked
haven't
around.
had a
So we
district
really haven't had a
communication.
forum that you can sit down with the school people and discuss this in a way that comes to some kind of a better agreement or a better understanding of what's going on. So I think it's key that I'm sure there'll be lots of parents and lots of people at that meeting Wednesday night, but we'll try to get our time in to at least make our point.
Right.
as I go around town, you know, I just don't talk about every day what we do here in government. We also talk to the average taxpayer out there and talk to them, how's life for you? How's everything going? How, you know, and they're not talking like things have turned around since 2009 with the economic downturn, and that things have gotten better and that people are getting pay raises. Taxpayers still out there and they're hurting. I just don't see the taxpayer stepping up here to do this, because they have, you talk about from the federal government all the way down, the tax structure coming down on them, especially this year, with with medical costs and everything else rising, the taxpayer is strapped.
And the other thing, Mr. Chairman, is we were anticipating, or we were hopeful when the governor was submitting his budget that there'd be some increases in not only Chapter 70 money for the schools, but cherry sheet reimbursements, because the state economy is doing better, apparently. And yet, you know, it sounds more and more dire, like we're gonna be level funded, or, you know, they may throw us a pittance, but everybody's, you know, trying to do more with less, and for the schools to come through for us with a 6% increase. I mean, I understand they got a lot of difficulties and a lot of issues too, but I'd like to see them pare that down to something closer that we'll be able to afford,
Yes.
that's for sure.
If I could comment on what Mr. Patterson just said, that we went to the MMA meeting in January, and the House Speaker did say that he was going to do better than the governor's budget as proposed, and it doesn't seem like
Doesn't
he's
seem as though
fulfilled
that's gonna come
that
through.
statement. I went to the February 18th school committee meeting, and they proposed at that point a $442,000 increase to the budget. But as I called Assistant Superintendent Forget on Friday, he reminded me that they were still negotiating contracts, and so that the increase that is shown on this proposal now has the final figures for the completed negotiations. So that's where the additional $60,000 approximately came from. But I fully agree that we can't afford a 6% increase.
Not without an override.
Not without
And
an
the override's
override.
iffy, I think.
With what we have to put on the warrant this year, we desperately need a ladder truck. Desperately need it.
Snow is not gonna be easy.
Hmm?
Ice and snow is not gonna be
Ice
easy.
and snow, we've had a brutal winter on top of it. I mean, the town is in a tough position. This is putting the town in a perilous position.
Well, I think we're, you know, in discussing the capital items, I think we're looking right now at recommending, as not that for this meeting, but the ladder truck will be an override.
Yes?
And apparently, if the school budget doesn't change, there's gonna be an override there, so we're gonna be asking the people to do an override and a capital debt exclusion for the fire engine. So, I mean, we're talking about substantial costs, as well as we're gonna be looking at, you know, your water costs that everybody's facing for the treatment plant. On top of that, we're gonna be looking for funds to start looking at a police fire station complex, which we also desperately need. So there's a lot of big expenses coming up here, and, you know, I think when you read through these budgets that the town departments are submitting, they're bare bones, and, you know, minimal increases, and people are doing a lot for nothing, and we need to get some additional cooperation from the school department, although I probably at this point, because of their lack of communication with anybody, it's probably too late to expect much out of them, but we'll certainly go up and make our point.
I think too that we have to make the point that Wednesday night is an open meeting. We have to get people there to discuss
Yes?
the increase. And we have to make the point, from our point of view, that the increase is way too high. And I know that, there is a rule of the three of us, but I think if we could all attend, it would be, we have to show them that we want to definitely ask them to do to review their budget and to decrease the amount.
Because they're not actually voting their
No.
final budget for another couple of weeks.
Right.
So that at least we'll have a chance to input, and whether they listen to us or not is something else, but
They did last year.
Well, we can-
We can only hope
hopefully we
again.
I want
As
to go
long
to
as,
this meeting.
if there's a quorum of a board attending, happen to be present at another duly posted public meeting, as long as the quorum is not deliberating,
We're not gonna deliberate.
then, there's no open meeting law issue.
Right.
So if there's a decision by the board tonight to send a letter to the school committee, it'd be good if it's decided who would be reading that letter and presenting that during the hearing is the first thing, and then any other individual selectmen who happen to be at the meeting as speaking and directing their comments to the school committee, then there's no open meeting law issue, because you're not deliberating as a board.
We went up, 2 years ago, I think, as a group. So we can do it again.
Right.
yeah, we won't sit together.
Right.
Oh, we
I
can sit
would-
together as long as we don't talk.
I would make
Deliberate.
I would make the point also that there is a district communications meeting, which hasn't been held all year, at 6:30, with the open meeting of the school committee at 7:30.
Well, I think, I definitely want to attend.
I-
Joe?
I'll be
Okay.
there.
Yeah, I'll be there as far as I know. I would
Okay.
move that we authorize a letter expressing
Yes.
our sentiments to be put together by the town administrator, to be given to Joe for presentation at the
Open meeting.
at the communications meeting, and also followed up by a reading of it at the,
Have a
Okay.
motion? I'll second that.
Okay. You're seconding, all right.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And Peter Sensulo, I think I let the selectmen know, he sent me an email saying he would be at the district communication meeting.
Yes, he said
He'd
he
a
might be
little
late, but he will be there at the
He
district.
comes in from Boston, so he'll get there as soon as he can.
Right.
I just don't see the voter, coming out for 2.5%.
well, the last time we had an override for the schools, which was about 6, 7 years ago, I'm gonna say, I worked on it. I worked with the school people, and we worked our rear ends off
gonna go to the
for
school.
that override. It only passed by 50 votes.
Newbury had an override,
There's lost, Salisbury's lost.
Salisbury lost. Yeah, and
Overrides in this area, we've always had a tough time.
Very tough.
I think
Very
very
the economic
difficult to get.
times is still haven't turned around, and I just don't see the consensus of the taxpayer out there that they, can afford this.
And the other issue we had when we fought for that last override is we put together a committee in the fall because we knew that we were gonna need an override. I mean, this issue here, up until very recently, we assumed that we were gonna be able to fund. From the preliminary figures we got, we more or less assumed that we could fund our portion of the budget from our monies available. And as this thing has progressed, it's become obvious that that's not the case if the budget stands the way they've got it. And to not have a group together to fight for an override is gonna puts us behind the 8 ball even more, so.
I was part of that group that was fighting for library money.
Yeah, exactly. We fought for the schools, the library, I think something for the highway department, we put it
Right.
all together. But
And
there
I-
was a sustained effort over many, many months. Right now, we're talking about March, April, 2 months. We're basically talking about 2 months.
60 days.
And it's just, it's an impossible task.
It is. And we do have the support of the Finance Committee in going to the district communications. That's why, another reason that I feel very badly that we haven't had a district communications, because Peter Sensula was always representing the Finance Committee, and Karen Derholzel, when she was a member of the committee, was always there. We've made our presentations, and there hasn't been a meeting this year.
I'm just gonna go down through this, on the operating assessment from Triton. Just so everybody out there knows what we're facing. Raleigh is, this, Triton School Committee is Triton is asking for $498,162, which is a 6.27% increase. From the town of Newbury, they're asking for $539,465, which is a 6.3% increase. From the town of Salisbury is $360,184, which is a 3.80. So the total increase for the three towns is $1,397,811, or a percentage of, between the three towns, of 5.38%. I was in touch with Joe Story today, and I'm going to talk to him more. He's the chairman of the board over in Newbury, and I'll talk to him tomorrow more about this. I told him we were going to talk about this tonight, so I'll have some more next week. We'll just discuss after I talk to Joe. Okay. Anything else? Any other comments? All right, moving on to minutes. Minutes for January 27th, 2014. Has everybody read them? Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I have a second? I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Okay, executive session for January 27th, 2014. Everybody read them? Have a motion?
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Okay, for February 3rd, executive session. Everybody read them?
Motion.
Motion?
Second.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye, Larry.
Good night, Larry.
See you at Triton.
Yes.
Okay, yes, Larry. We'll see you up there. February 24th, 2014. Everybody read them?
Motion.
I have a motion, second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstain. I'm sorry, abstain. Okay. Town has the following vacancies: Conservation Commission, 1 seat; Finance Committee, 1 seat; Fence Viewer,
Mr. Chairman.
2 positions. Yes.
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
On the Finance Committee vacancy, I'd just like to emphasize for people out there that are looking for members, and you don't have to be a financial we're not looking for financial experts, you don't have to be an accountant, you don't have to work at a bank. We're looking for citizens with good common sense, willing to review budgets and take a look at budgets and deal with issues that are presented in the budget, so that you don't have to be a financial whiz. We're looking for good common sense people interested in the town and town affairs, so that I think sometimes people misconstrue what the Finance Committee does. And it's important that we get a cross-section of residents, so
Yes.
that we get a good representation of what the people think when it comes to dealing with these budgets and budget issues, so.
Very good point, Dave.
But
Thank you.
but if you do have the skills out there, we
Oh, well,
appreciate.
perfectly, the
we
more
appreciate-
skills we like, but
Yeah.
don't feel that because you're
No.
not an accountant or a bookkeeper or something like that, that you're not qualified, because we certainly want people who have a wide interest and wide skill set and wide background, whether it be in business or whatever,
But common sense is,
Common sense is really what we're looking for.
yes. Okay, fence viewer, 2 positions, wood lumber bark inspector. Zoning Board of Appeals, we have 2 open seats. For more information for these positions, please contact the Selectmen's Office, 948-2372. The 375th anniversary information events are posted on the town website, www.townofraleigh, that's all one word, .net.
Could I
Yes.
just make
Oh,
one
absolutely.
comment that I'd like to, again, thank Matt Rogers for his work in putting that website together. Did a fantastic job, and he's been very, very helpful to the committee.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for all your hard work, too, on the 375th. The battery recycling box is located in the town hall and also in the library. Again, I've talked about this. You know, you have any extra batteries around the house that you, expended batteries, you know, AAAs, Ds, Cs, throw them in a plastic bag, put them to the side, and just come into the town hall and drop them off right here or over at the library. It's a good way of being green. Raleigh Food Pantry is in need of donations. The food pantry is open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Town meeting will be held Monday, May the 5th, 2014. And we are going into executive session for the purpose of discussing strategies in respect to litigation, because an open session may have detrimental effect on litigating and negotiating positions of the town, not to return to open session. Ask a member of the board to make a motion.
Make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second. All those in favor with a roll call vote.
Jack Cook.
Hi, Joe Perry.
I, Robert Snow.
Hi, Robert Murray.
Hi, Dave Peters.
Good night, everyone. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much. And don't forget the school committee meeting on Wednesday evening.